Okay, hello. Welcome to the Sunday pre-market meeting. I hope you're all well and you're all having a good weekend. Last week, there wasn't anything overly eventful. We had some escalations regarding the US and Iran. However, the landscape hasn't changed since we last spoke, which obviously was when we introduced this situation and we covered it in the previous pre-market meeting. When it comes to that stuff, we've got escalating tensions around the Strait of Hormuz, continue to price geopolitical supply risks into the market. Extreme backwardation across futures curves signals immediate physical supply tightness. Strategic reserve releases have failed to cap prices, suggesting strong underlying demand. Higher oil prices are pushing inflation expectations higher and reinforcing the higher for longer interest rate regime. So when it comes to, I just realized I got the wrong chart here. So when it comes to oil, we should all be fully aware of the situation that we have at hand. Obviously, oil absolutely rocketed here towards 120, had a pretty major, I would consider this crash or collapse or correction, doesn't matter what word we use. Since then, we have found a bottom and continue to run higher. So the recent narratives with oil, we obviously had the initial US and Iran situation. We then had the news that Trump wanted to de-escalate, and we also had NATO deploy some reserve oil, and the US also has some reserve oil. However, that's not enough to, it doesn't mean they don't need to rely on the Strait of Hormuz and they don't need more oil to come in. So there is still an absolute pressure on oil to continue higher, which, as we said, does reflect in the inflation expectations, which we'll move on to shortly. So when it comes to oil, it's been a very tricky market to trade. So obviously we gapped up here. That was last week's open. So I wouldn't expect us to have a similar situation this week. I don't think there's been really anything overly impactful over the weekend to warrant a massive gap up. Absolutely could happen, but I would doubt it. I do, however, expect oil to basically just continue higher. Ideally, I would love to see a pullback towards our value zone, which would line up previous highs. However, when it comes to doing our analysis and trading and looking for our trades ahead, we need to consider what's actually going on. Is it reasonable to expect oil to come down this much on the H4, meet our value zone, and then continue higher given the current landscape and the current situation? Or is it more likely that oil will continue higher? In my opinion, this is the situation where it's very, very likely to continue higher. In that case, there is nothing for me to do. I'm not going to chase a trend. I'm not going to do anything if that is the case. I will just sit out and wait for some sort of pullback. So if we do get this pullback towards our value zone on the fib, fine, we'll go long. If not, then there is nothing for us here. It's a very volatile market anyway. One headline could completely destroy long positions. If we do get some sort of de-escalation or the Strait of Hormuz does open back up or whatever it may be, it's a very risky trade anyway. So chasing it just adds an extra layer of risk that isn't necessary. Next up, we have the Aussie Swiss. I really like this market, actually. So we are getting a very bullish reading here on the Edge Finder, which tells us the upfront fundamentals, so just the current fundamental readings are bullish for this market, which is obviously great. We do, again, have the elevated oil prices, which is basically feeding into global inflation. We've got China that's doing very well. We've got the RBA that's pretty much ready to hike their rates as well. So in terms of the interest rate differential, or the real yield differential between Australia and Switzerland, it's great. We should be aware that Switzerland has very, very low interest rates right now, as opposed to, obviously, we've got the RBA hiking. So we've got that on our side. So Australia is benefiting from the commodity environment with stronger relative growth data. Swiss economic momentum has weakened and lacks strong upside catalysts. Commodity-linked currencies are outperforming safe haven currencies in the current macro regime, and this trade will express relative macro strength without relying on US dollar direction. So fundamentally, this market is completely fine. I think we're coming into a really, really nice buy level. So if we just look at the way this market's been behaving over the past couple of weeks, we can see this 200 moving average has been acting as a beautiful dynamic support throughout this whole trend. Although the price action is very, very ugly, it is still moving to the upside, and we have, again, been using that 200 as a dynamic support, which is really, really nice. So within our value zone, this will provide a fantastic break, which we've already had, and then this retest of previous highs or previous structure. And this would be a very sort of standard bread and butter long position on that retest if we can get a rejection to the upside. Worst case, or not worst case, but sort of the secondary option, if we don't see a reaction at this fib level, we can actually scrap that idea and look to basically just repeat what's been happening already, which is, again, buying on this 200 moving average, expecting it to act as a form of dynamic support. In terms of, again, direction, fundamentals, I have no doubt in my mind. Can't hear anything? Oh, right, it's an issue on your end? Okay, fine, no problem. Hopefully you can get that fixed, but yeah, everyone else seems to be okay. Just let me know in the chat if you are having issues, or if it's okay, let me know. So Aussie Swiss, as I said, I think long positions are completely fine. It's just a case of exactly where do you want to get in. Do you want to wait for this 200 to see a bounce, or would you be happy to buy off a value zone and a retest of this previous structure? I'd be happy to do both. To be honest, I wouldn't mind going in long here with maybe half risk and then saving an extra half risk for a potential add-in if we end up coming slightly lower. Either way, it really depends on your management and execution style. But again, fundamentally, fantastic market. Moving on, Aussie New Zealand. So this one's been a little bit annoying to deal with. Why did Aussie collapse this week fundamentally? We'll move on to that shortly. I'll cover questions and things towards the end. So Aussie New Zealand's been a fantastic market if you're a buyer. If you weren't already in long positions, it's been pretty difficult really to get in. The pullbacks, especially on the daily, have been very, very minute. So I would like to see this sort of pullback. Same thing as what we just saw on the Aussie Swiss, but again, will we get it? I don't know. But if we do, fantastic. So a pullback towards our value zone, which would be, in this case, the 61.8, retest this previous high. We've already had the break. Look for this retest. It would also bring the market towards our 100 moving average, which would be fantastic for a bounce. So dynamic support on the 100 as well. And it would be a little bit of a mean reversion towards our 200 moving average and allowing this market a little bit of room just to continue higher. Now, we've been speaking a lot, and when I say a lot, we've been speaking about this since the break. So when was this? Sort of August, November last year, and we're still talking about the same idea that this market is very stretched. I mean, look at this on a weekly time frame. The RSI is very, very extended and overbought. On the left side, however, we do still have potential room to continue higher. So all I'm doing is looking at these weekly highs and just thinking which one of these could be a potential reversal point. So I'm not looking to hold a massive swing trade. I think we've already missed that idea. You really would have wanted to be a buyer down here at these lows if you wanted to hold for a long time. However, for a short-term swing trade or an intraday trade, I think Aussie New Zealand is still a fantastic player. You just need to be on high alert for any changes in the fundamentals with the Aussie dollar or even the New Zealand dollar, which would very, very likely bring a very aggressive mean reversion as we get an unwind of longs and a return back into the mean of this range. So yeah, I like the idea. I'm just cautious. Moving on, what do we have next? The dollar yen. So dollar yen is still, what can you say about dollar yen? It's still a fantastic long opportunity. The only downside really is just price is elevated. It's quite stretched at the moment. So the yen, it will remain a funding currency. You know, again, talk on the street is Bank of Japan hikes rates, but at the moment they're having some issues with the balance of trade due to the higher oil prices. Even if they do hike rates, it's still very, very low compared to things like the Fed, the RBA, etc. So it will remain a funding currency. So in terms of targets, we can't really look for targets because we're pretty much approaching this previous all-time high. Beyond that, who knows where the top will be. So I think what the best idea here is to basically, again, wait for some sort of pullback, look to go long. The caveat or the nuance is obviously waiting for, keeping in mind the potential intervention by the Bank of Japan. So when it comes to actually looking for a trade here, I wouldn't mind looking to buy on this previous support, and it's very, very tricky. I mean, there's really not much for me to work off for the way I trade here, but really any pullback, I'd be happy to be a buyer. So when it comes to the intervention ideas by the MOF, I wouldn't expect an intervention now until we start breaking past the previous all-time high. So over here, Where is the all-time high? Right here. So when we can start breaking 161 into 162, 163, up to sort of 165, that would be my danger zone of, okay, it really wouldn't be a surprise if we do get that intervention. However, until then, I just can't imagine it happening, especially with the situation that Japan's in at the moment, again, with higher, elevated oil, and that affecting their balance of trade. So moving on, euro dollar and pound dollar. I'll talk about these two simultaneously because I took euro dollar. I didn't call this one as a signal, but I did call the pound dollar trade as a signal. Both are running completely fine. Very, very nice trades. Both are still getting a bearish reading on the edge finder, along with the New Zealand dollar. However, the reason I called pound dollar specifically was because, first of all, I didn't want to get you guys over leveraged into the US dollar, but also pound dollar is getting the most bearish reading. So what I'm looking to do, this also applies, obviously, if you're not already in the trade, you could look for this as well, but I'm looking to scale in. So take the previous high. Oops, that was a wrong place. Take this previous high, look for wherever the next low will be. Now, obviously, I don't know where the next low will be, but I would expect it to be somewhere potentially around here. And the reason is because this would help align the fib zone with these previous lows, and then we could look for exactly what I've been talking about, which is obviously the break of this level, retest into value and previous structure, and then continue lower. So again, bread and butter, just looking to see if we can get that continuation lower and then the pullback to go short. There is also the other idea that we could actually just see a bit of a pullback here towards our 200 moving average and then a continuation lower. If that's the case, fine. Might take a break even on this one, but it doesn't matter. We could always get back in if that is the case. Euro dollar, similar situation. So MUFG are actually in a short position, as you can see that's marked up here. So in terms of targets on both trades, I don't really have a hard target. I'm very, very happy to just let both of these markets run, trail stops, and just see what we can get. Because again, the US dollar is getting that safe haven bid. The Fed is in a better position than the Bank of England, in my opinion. The fundamentals favor the US dollar over both of the euro and the pound. So yeah, fundamentally, both are fantastic trades. The US is showing a bit of deterioration, as is expected. Yeah, it seems like you're not the only one. I'm not sure why people are having audio issues, but if other people can hear me, that makes me assume it's not a technical issue on my side. Overstretched price-wise, yes. Seems I'd have to watch the replay of the webinar. No problem. I apologize that you're having issues. By the way, next Fed meeting in 3 days. GU has more room to downside. Yes, exactly. Anyway, let's continue. So Euro Aussie, again, still really, really like this idea. We're still getting a bearish reading on the edge finder, again, telling us the fundamentals are there. And the RBA remains hawkish, as we've said. The ECB remains relatively stuck where they are, again, due to the oil situation. So what I'm looking for is, obviously, we've got the high and we've got the low, looking for the retest of this level. Previous lows have already had the break and then a continuation lower. Very, very simple, straightforward. There's not really much else for me to elaborate on this one. So what else do we have on the list? That's pretty much it. We've already spoken about oil. New Zealand US dollar is, again, sort of the same as what we discussed on pound dollar. I'd need to see a continuation to around, let's say, 0.57. That would then provide a nice low to come and retest the previous structure and our fib level and continue lower. Finally, when it comes to gold, now I'm not actually looking to go short gold. However, my bias is actually short gold. So what I mean by that is I'm personally not willing to take the risk on shorting gold, but if I had to tell you where I thought it was going, I would say lower. Now, there's a bit of a misconception within a lot of the retail traders at the moment, which is obviously there's a war going on. Why is gold down? Gold's a safe haven asset. True, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. Or there's a little bit more context behind that. So yields are up. We've got currently this is only 2-year yield here. Short end yields are up across the board. We've got the UK, Germany, Australia. They're all peaking, and again that's because the oil prices providing inflation globally. So central banks are staying on hold or maybe even hiking potentially. So in that dynamic, or in this dynamic, there just isn't any reason for gold to do anything. And we've also got the strong US dollar. So fundamentally, there is no reason for gold to be going higher. We could actually see maybe some profit taking from gold even further. I'm not saying that is going to happen. Again, I'm not really a super bear on gold. I don't really care what's happening, but I thought that I'd throw this idea out there for anyone that might be interested. So yeah, I think this is pretty clean. You can hear me fine. Good stuff. Right, so what's going on here? So yes, we do have the Fed in a few days. I would expect the Fed to hold rates. I don't think they're in a position to hike, especially with the weaker labor market. And obviously the oil situation on inflation I wouldn't expect to be a long-standing thing, more of a short-term impact. But again, we'll see. Aussie Yen long. Yes, so I'm actually in Aussie Yen. It's not going too hot right now. So as you can see, this was the idea, but to be honest, I'm not really concerned. It's still a pretty nice bullish market. The RSI here on the H4 is oversold fundamentally and technically. Here we are very bullish. So basically the same thing I said on dollar yen. It's more just a case of trying to find some pullbacks, looking to go long, and buying dips. So if this position is stopped out, fine, I'll look to re-enter. I'm really not bothered, and I think it's very straightforward. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it from me. Just to quickly recap, we are short on the euro dollar, short on pound dollar, long on Aussie yen, short pound Australia, and we're actually long on the Nikkei, but I'm not going to go over that here because that's for members only. Long Australian dollar still seems like the prevalent move. Long US dollar also seems like a fantastic idea. Long on oil, and then short on things like the yen, short euro, short pound, short New Zealand dollar, and maybe even short gold if you've got if you've got a bit of risk appetite. Cover the DXY. There's not really much to cover on the dollar, to be honest with you. It's pretty standard. So I've been relatively bullish generally speaking, relatively bullish over the. Hold on, what? There we go. Relatively bullish over the recent history or recent past. And the reason is because what we've had with the dollar is massive bear talk. How many videos and how many people have you seen? Oh, the dollar's going to crash to 90, or the US is crumbling, whatever it may be. How many times do you think people thought the same things every time we came down to this level? And every time we've bounced up and had a bullish cycle. Now we've got the Fed on hold. And actually relatively hawkish. We've also got risk sentiment in the market. We've got the US dollar that's individually getting a bullish reading. We've got yields up. There is no reason for the dollar to be bearish right now. So I think if we can see some sort of escalation or continuation with the situation in the Middle East, we can see the Fed remain hawkish. We could be in for the next bull cycle on the dollar. Now, it's a little bit early and a little bit aggressive for me to say that, but that right now is actually sort of my base case. More people that can't hear me. Very strange, although everyone else seems to hear me. Am I still scalping? How's that been working out? Yes, I am still scalping. Not very often, though. I've more moved to futures, so I've been scalping on Top Step, so I've had a payout or two from them, but yeah, nothing overly interesting. With the conflict in Iran, do you avoid oil? So, as I said at the start, I'll just quickly recap this and then we'll end it. I'm not looking to avoid oil, but it has to meet my criteria. So if the market opens and next week we just see oil continue to climb up, yes, I'll avoid it because there is no way in. I'm not going to chase it. One headline, such as reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, any de-escalation, this trade would be in the bin. So I would have to see it come down to this level, and then I could look to buy. If we don't get that, there is no trade for me. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, have a fantastic rest of your weeks. Thank you for joining. I'll speak to you all very soon, and yeah, I'll see you very, very soon. If you are interested in one-to-one mentorship with me, apply there. One-to-one calls, guidance, full economic courses, so on and so on. Guys, see you later. Have a good one.